watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you. Welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning live on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and also on YouTube. But we've got a lot to get to in this hour. We appreciate you joining us. Want to let you know some of what we have coming up later in the show. The Attorney General in Gadsden County earlier today announcing the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year. We'll take you inside that ceremony in just a little bit. Also going on live right now, Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, a meeting in Ocala, and they're talking about this controversial bear hunt and some proposed rules for that. About 170 people signed up for public comment during this meeting, so that is going on right now. We'll get you inside that meeting coming up in just a little bit. But the countdown is on to Epic Universe grand opening, less than 24 hours away from now. All years have been leading up to this, and the moment is just about here. And joining us live now from inside Epic Universe is Fox 35's David Martin, who is also joined by a special guest. Hey, David.
It's always my honor and pleasure, Garrett, when we get to talk to the brilliant minds behind Epic Universe, the people who've been talking about this project from its inception in, I guess, 2017, maybe earlier. Say hello to Gabby Lander. Gabby, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Gabby, give us your official title here, because you say it so nicely and I don't.
I'm the Director of Architecture and Engineering Design.
Okay, so architectural engineering and design. So I'm guessing you had your fingerprints on a lot of the beautiful domes and the buildings we see here, right?
Yes, I've been fortunate to be involved in everything here.
So when would that have started for you? When did you get involved in the project?
Well, I had my first meeting for this project maybe 2016.
Okay. So the countdown is on. We're now officially 21 hours away from opening. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready. I'm so happy. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I bet. So you've had 5 worlds to work on. The Celestial Park, which is where we're standing in right now, which is the hub, right? And then the 4 separate worlds that are attached to it. Super Nintendo, you got the Harry Potter, you have the Dragons, and then, of course, Dark Universe. Do you have a favorite, Gabby?
Well, depending on the day, let's put it that way.
Deal.
It's depending on what I feel like. If I feel like going into immersion and playing, I will go to Super Nintendo World. If I want to have a relaxed time and natural time in a park, I will stay in Celestial Park. If I want to experience the movie that I want to fly, I will go to How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. If I feel like dark, I will go to Dark Universe. And if I feel like having some magic moment, I will go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic.
So all of them have so many unique things and details to hang out. You can spend an entire day in each world and never see anything. So give me something that you can share. There's a secret perhaps in each world that you had your hand on, that you helped develop, that we could appreciate today.
Well, I will follow the footprints in Dark Universe.
On the ground.
On the ground.
Nice. And can you tell us what the footprints are? Is that giving away too much?
Too much.
Yeah.
People need to experience
exactly.
it.
Is it even? It could be a monster, is what you're saying.
Maybe.
Okay, I like that. How about something in the Harry Potter world that we should keep our eye on?
Harry Potter, I will go closely to each window.
Yes. Each window tells a story. I love it. What about How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk?
You have to interact with the characters.
Yeah, those meet and greets are insane.
Very important.
Oh, absolutely. If you've not, and by the way, we should tell our audience, watch the movies too if you haven't seen the movies.
Oh yes.
Much better
it's
appreciation.
A must.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Celestial Park, where we're standing, the park behind Theme Park, what do you recommend we keep an eye out for in the details here?
Well, walk the areas that are not the main path so you can get the full experience.
Beautiful landscaping here.
Amazing.
And immature landscaping, because in 20 years we'll see taller trees, right? So pack an umbrella perhaps for your shade if you need it this week when you come out for opening tomorrow. It's going to be hot. And we haven't touched upon Super Nintendo World, and there's a reason for that. What is something we need to keep our eyes out for in there?
Be prepared to jump and have a lot of fun.
That is exactly what our colleague Stephanie Buffamonte did yesterday when she was invited to get her first look at Super Nintendo World. Garrett, let's take a look at that together.
Here we go. when I come through the portal and up the stairs through Peach's Castle, I am in another world, the world that I grew up with.
And when you step into the world, you can be part of the world with your own power-up band.
There are several ways to use your power-up band. Just go to one of the question blocks and look at this.
Anything that you do in the land is connected to a land-wide game, and that allows you to see your score, compete against other players, against other teams. So I'm on Team Donkey Kong, you're on Team Princess Peach, and we each have our own score. So when we play these games, we'll collect coins. When we punch the interactive blocks, we'll collect coins. We can find hidden items that give you stamps, and those collect coins. Everything's coins, and they give you score. And that score is tracked through this band.
I tried my luck with this slot game, getting 4 in a row and earning some coins for Team Peach. Super Mario World isn't all games. There are plenty of rides too.
I just got off Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. I don't even know how to put into words how cool that was. I'm 32 years old, so I spent a lot of my childhood playing N64. I still play N64, and guess what? You go on Rainbow Road, you feel like you're actually in the video game, and it's so interactive. There's a 3D portion too. It's just really, really cool thanks to those goggles. You really just have to experience it for yourself.
And of course, the food.
We just went to Yoshi's Snack Island, and look at these awesome treats. This is a red shell calzone. We have a mango smoothie and then an apple melon smoothie. Let's start with this one. That's really good. I wasn't expecting the tapioca balls at the end. It's really, really good. And then let's try this. Let's try to be gracious eating this. That is amazing. That is like the perfect bite all in one. If you need a quick bite to eat on the go, this is definitely it.
It's not an easy thing to build a theme park, and sometimes you get really frustrated and tired, and then you see a guest enjoy it and have that reaction that you just did. Nothing beats it.
Stephanie Buffmonti, Fox 35 News.
You know, Garrett, it's pretty funny that last spokesperson from Universal had said, you know, there are days when they do get tired. This has been a project since 2016, right? And in the past, let's say 5 months, you know, they've been working around the clock to get this off the ground. And this week in particular, with 800 media outlets from all over the world, all eyes are on this park in every corner of the globe. So you know they've got to be up watching all of the coverage and making sure that every corner of this park is buttoned up and ready for tonight's blue carpet event, which starts at 6 o'clock. And then, of course, tomorrow at 8 o'clock when the gates actually open up for the first people who are going to experience the park. Now, Stephanie did continue her coverage yesterday at Epic. Not only did she try Super Nintendo World, but she had a chance to explore the massive How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk world. Let's take a look at that now.
3 rides, 3 eateries, and dragons everywhere. But with dragons around every corner, you have to be prepared, which is why these rides come in handy.
We're about to head on Fire Drill. This is a family fun water ride where you get to shoot water cannons at each other. And of course, this is a skill you must master if you're living with dragons. This one though, you're gonna get wet, so keep that in mind. Bring your ponchos. We just got off Fire Drill. It was really cool. You have to shoot targets, fire targets, and then X targets. I clearly wore the poncho. I'm nice and dry. Photojournalist AJ here. Well, he shot the X target, got wet, and was not wearing a poncho, so beware.
Dragon racing is the village's favorite pastime, but before you can ride the dragon, you should train to become a dragon racer.
We're heading into Dragon Racers Rally. This one is really cool. It makes you feel like you are flying like a dragon, and if you want, you can even flip yourself upside down.
Upside down, gravity-defying, and soaring. Trainers with hopes of becoming a champion dragon racer can feel the thrill of racing on Dragon Racers Rally. But of course, you can't go to the Isle of Berk without meeting the star of the show.
This is Toothless.
You can meet Toothless and Hiccup at the Haddock Paddock.
Stephanie, what you want to do, put out your hands like so, He will sniff you. You can approach slowly. There you go. Oh! I'm so proud of you, Stephanie.
Or you can even become toothless.
This is our toothless mask. It actually makes sounds.
Oh, well, you can put
And
that
it
on.
lights up as well.
Do you want to put it on?
Let's see.
Let's see.
It's probably not going to work with my glasses. So there we go.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
But it's pretty cool.
Toothless and the Vikings are also the inspiration behind food you'll find at the Isle of Berk.
What makes sense for the movie? What makes sense for the world? What makes sense for your life? And how does that tie into what we're trying to do here at Epic Universe, which is have immersive food and immersive storytelling. So the food is part of the story.
Naturally, we had to try it.
Oh my gosh, take a look at this. This is the PB&J. I've been hearing a lot about this. It's creamy mac and cheese with pulled pork and peanut bacon jam. Let's try it. This is also massive. That is good.
Stephanie Buffmonti, Fox 35 News.
Well, there you have it. There is food in every pocket of this park. It's a foodies park, no question about it. Each world has multiple restaurants and bars and places to pick up some unique items, so you don't want to miss that, especially when you might have to stand in line for some of these rides that are commanding already, hours on a crowded day, no question about it. Just the other day, Garrett, we saw that Harry Potter was at 300 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was in technical rehearsal. So yeah, you can imagine next week when we're going full bore here, what kind of lines we're expecting. But what's great about it is, you as a local, and you'll appreciate this, you maybe don't ride that day and enjoy the other parts of the park that they've spent so much time and energy on, that make it feel like you're not just at a theme park, you're at a place to relax. There are benches everywhere. You can bring a book if you want and read. You could really just spend the day here doing nothing and have a great time. It's one of those places. Remember, it's bigger than the combination of Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. So you'll be putting your steps in for sure when you come here. I hope you get another ticket to come out here. You said you're going in late fall, I heard you earlier say?
Yeah, so I bought a ticket for previews last week and got to check it out. But you're right. It is the kind of park where you just want to go back. And so, yeah, when I go back, it'll probably be in the fall when some of those crowds die down a little bit. But you were talking about with our guest about some of those details, because there is just so much to see that, forget trying to ride all the rides the first time. There's no way you can catch all of those details and those things. There's so many things that you'll see time and time again.
Absolutely, and it'll be interesting because tonight the grand opening party for all the celebrities and their families and the team members here who will be here to make that happen. They're expecting upwards to 6,000 guests tonight for the private party. It starts at 6 o'clock, goes till 10 o'clock. There's going to be a massive fireworks show and drone show right above us here, right above the Celestial Park. I've heard that they were testing it last night, Garrett, and the people staying in Stella Nova and Terra Nova, those two hotels that are about the moons, it was shaking the windows and the car alarms were going off. It was that bombastic. So they're going to kick off their grand opening tonight and tomorrow with a bang, the proper bang, the epic bang, as it were, because they need to. Nothing has happened like this in our century yet. So they ought to be proud of themselves. It's amazing to be here.
Yeah. Kicking it off right. Fox 35's David Martin, we appreciate you joining us live from Epic Universe again today.
You bet, brother. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I want to get you inside this meeting going on right now in Ocala. This is a Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission meeting where they are considering proposed rules for a bear hunt. Here's a few of the kind of top lines from it. It is a bear hunt that could become annual. It would be 23 days later in the fall, into the winter rather. They are discussing bear hunting zones, a permitting process that would require hunters be at least 18 years old. They've also talked about the reporting process and a bag limit of 1 bear per permit. We should note there are about 170 people who signed up for public comment during this meeting. That was what we heard one of the board members say at the beginning of that public comment period. And so it's been going on for a while, likely to continue for a while. So let's go ahead and listen in here live at this meeting in Ocala about a proposed black bear hunt in the state of Florida.
John, welcome.
How are you doing? Speaking on behalf of the
Lift up the mic, John. Can't hear you.
Coordinating Council and the Full Track Conservation Club of Dade. We fully support staff's recommendations. We like the flexibility that's been built into it. And again, like everybody else says, the science shows that we need to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Dina, and just as a reminder, if take your time to make your comments known. If what has been said earlier, you don't need to repeat, so that we can hear your full comments. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dina Athanasi. I'm with the Sunshine State Humane Society, and we strongly oppose this bear hunt. Overpopulation is a myth. People have been talking about ring cameras. If you didn't have a ring camera, you wouldn't even know that the bear passed through your yard last night. We just have more technology. We know this is a trophy hunt. We know it. You know it. Okay? The FWC is already facing growing scrutiny, and approving this will only intensify public backlash. I urge you not to move forward with this decision. Thank you for your time. I truly do appreciate it.
Thank you, Dina. Norma. Okay, and while Norma's coming up, if I could have Gianna, Deanan, Brad, Gail, and Lori to the front, please. Norma, you're on the clock.
Hi. Is it still good morning?
Sure.
My name is Norma Linden. I came all the way from Orlando this morning to say that I oppose the bear hunt. They were here before we came. And I believe that those people may be hunted, the original people that lived here, because they needed food. We don't need that. We don't need to kill to feed our children. What we need to do is stop the development. It's all a concrete jungle. The heat is unbearable. I have 1 acre of land and I haven't cut a tree. The neighbor next to me cut all the trees to build. I called FWC because there were gopher tortoises there, everything. And what did I get an answer? Animals know where to go. And I said, animals, how? What are they going to get out of the bulldozer? Animals know to go, and about 3 times.
Thank you, Norma. Next up, Jana. Welcome, Jana.
Hello, thank you. So I'm a resident of over 25 years. I actually live in a refuge, and I'd like to address the permits. The permits that allow multiple kills, the use of dogs, arrows, baiting, traps, etc. is insane. Hunting and killing wildlife because it feels enjoyable is cruel and sadistic and should not be tolerated as a society. People mention policy. Who makes the policy? Hunters and developers do. We urge the FWC to address the root causes of bear conflicts, such as poor trash management, rather than resorting to hunts, humane management, and to prioritize habitat protection over development. Any bear hunt should be canceled until the FWC provides comprehensive data demonstrating it won't negatively impact bear populations or increase conflicts, citing the precautionary principle and public opposition. Let's remember the 2015 hunt disaster. Let's remember.
Thank you, Jana. Next up, Deanan. Did I get that right? Deanan?
Deneen.
Deneen.
Close, close.
All right.
I'm here to say I strongly oppose the 2025 bear hunt. Please make your decision after the 2029 results come in. Human-bear conflict is not due to overpopulation of bear, but of humans. Humans that do not control their trash, humans that do not respect the fact that they themselves have taken the homes of bears, and humans that are choosing to overdevelop Florida. We need to stop putting green in the wallets, or we will be looking at continuous pavement. We need check stations back. I was there in 2015. I saw cubs and I saw lactating females, and we do not need dogs involved. Thank you.
Deneen, thank you for your comments. Brad. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. I'm Brad Wilnecker, representing Southeastern Dog Hunters Association, Seasons of Hope Outdoors.
I'm Jay Slipford with Brad Wilnecker here, representing CETA.
This is Jace's first meeting, and you'll probably be seeing him working for the FWC soon. I want to first thank John and his crew in our region. They really reach out to us, and I want to make sure him, Paul Shrine, all of his team are really good to us. Of course, we're in Orange. We're supporting the hunts. Thanks.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Gail, next up. And if I could have Lori, Kate, Steve, Brad, and Giovanna to come forward, please.
Hello, I live in the Ocala National Forest. I live with bears. I love living with bears, as does my entire community. None of us want them murdered. Secondly, I'm just trying to figure out why we're even here. In December, Mike Orlando said no action is needed at this time. We don't need to do anything with the bears at this time. Cut to today. Here we are discussing a hunt. It's disgusting. Dogs, bait piles, I cannot even deal. Who is going to regulate this hunt? Who is going to be in the forest making sure everybody has a tag, making sure they're not killing 10 bears instead of 1? We need regulation. We cannot rely on the honor system. They're killing them in the forest now. It's called shoot, shovel, and shut up. That is what they call it. I oppose this hunt. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Next up, Lori. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Laurie Hood. I'm the founder of Aliqua Animal Refuge in the Florida Panhandle, a board member and a previous vice chair of the Florida Wildlife Federation. Floridians believe that FWC exists to protect our wild Florida, but this proposal does the opposite. It sends a message to our children that it's acceptable to use inhumane methods in the name of sport. We're teaching them that respect for life is conditional, that wild animals are expendable when inconvenient. The world is watching. Please don't bring back the bear hunt. Florida is better than this.
Thank you, Lori. Next up,
A variety of perspectives, a variety of opinions and voices speaking at this meeting going on live now in Ocala, discussing a proposed bear hunt. Now, you may remember the last bear hunt in Florida was back in 2015, and it was controversial then. It was also cut short after just the opening weekend of that bear hunt when more than 300 bears were killed at that time. So it ended much shorter, much quicker than originally intended. So this is going to continue. We'll keep monitoring that and check back in. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning. The largest school district in Central Florida is putting a pause on building new schools. Orange County public school officials say a drop in enrollment means no more new schools right now, and also teachers losing jobs. Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie has the story.
So according to Orange County Public Schools, they're expecting to see a drop by more than 3,000 students for the next school year starting this fall. And for the last several years, Orange County has been building schools to keep up with the growth of the county, especially in areas like Horizon West and Lake Nona. The district opened 28 new campuses in the last 10 years and has another one slated to open in August and 2 more next year. But then no more after that, as the school district will hit the brakes, pausing construction on future relief schools meant for fast-growing areas. School board member Stephanie Vano says the pause could last until 2031 based on new enrollment projections.
The drop of 3,000 students is, in a county of, I think they said 186,000 students, is actually a very small amount. But it should also be noted that we're looking at almost 10 times that loss in a diversion of our public school funding to the taxpayer-funded voucher program.
Florida's voucher program provides money for private school scholarships and homeschooling services. The projected long-term loss in funding is expected to cost the district nearly $27 million and could impact staffing. Vanos says she's hopeful this isn't the start of a long-term shift away from public schools, but it's something the district is watching closely. Board members say they will watch enrollment numbers, and if there is a bounce back in the numbers, then construction could continue earlier than 2031. But for now, renovation projects will continue at existing schools.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins me now. And Brooks, so we're still talking these hot and steamy conditions out there.
Yes. Yeah, yesterday, Garrett, the heat was just beaming down, unrelenting coming from the sun. So hard to do anything outside between about 1 and 5 p.m. And today, much the same. But we've got some changes on the way for tomorrow. If you're going to the beach this Memorial Day weekend to escape the heat, you'll want to watch this forecast. Right now, we've got 1 to 2 foot waves at best. Not great surfing, good for stand-up paddleboarding or kayaking. An offshore wind all day today, and that means that there will be no relief from the heat even on the beach, with highs there reaching the lower to middle 90s. Now, this weekend, we should have a little bit more of a sea breeze, but it's that time of year where sometimes even the beach offers very little refreshment. Now, we've got a lot of clouds in place today, developing out ahead of a cold front. You can see all those clouds illustrated in white there from Tallahassee to Valdosta. That cold front is bringing strong storms to the I-10 corridor today, and the possibility of a few storms here tomorrow. Right now, at this 11 o'clock hour, we're already in the mid-80s, and we're well on our way to highs in the mid-90s today. For the Villages, we're going to top out about 94 degrees for a sunny and hot afternoon. So the front in question makes its way down toward I-10, and in doing so brings the possibility of a few severe storms this afternoon and this evening, with large hail and some damaging wind gusts. And then tomorrow, that threat extends farther south to include areas just south of Orlando, Melbourne, Palm Bay, into Yeehaw Junction, and down into Lake Okeechobee, Jupiter, Hobe Sound, southeast Florida. And then here's how it works out. So sunshine and hot today, and then tomorrow we're going to see the approach of that system bringing more clouds, which will promise some slightly cooler weather just by default of the clouds shielding the otherwise warming sunshine. But for today, we'll see clouds lining up and storms along I-10 from Tallahassee to Jacksonville. So that's going to be the place to find, I guess, some cooler weather, but at the cost and risk of stronger storms. Now, as far as the forecast goes, by the time that boundary, that front gets down here, it's going to kind of dry out a little bit and ultimately stall. This is the time of year where cold fronts have a really tough time getting much farther south than about I-10. And so that'll kind of create a all day long cloud cover with intermittent showers, and maybe along and south of the front, some thunderstorms. So that'll be the big question for tomorrow. Does the front stall north of Orlando or just south of Orlando? Because if it stalls north of Orlando, we'll have a lot more rain. But if it stalls south of Orlando, as looks currently likely, most of the rain would be from St. Cloud, Kissimmee to Cocoa Beach Point south, to include Kenansville, Yeehaw Junction area, the Turnpike, Grant Valcaria, Mico, Melbourne, up through Cocoa Beach, with just some intermittent showers and a couple of rumbles from Orlando points north. But for the most part tomorrow, cloud cover, which will keep temperatures a little cooler than they otherwise would be. Now, it's not going to be cold by any stretch of the imagination tomorrow. Highs up around 90, but it'll be a big change from highs in the mid and upper 90s. We could have showers lingering through the day Friday, by the way. Friday, there's about a 20% chance. So Thursday night to Friday, a few more showers. hey, any rain's going to be good rain, so at least we have that chance. But the only problem is that tomorrow is the grand opening of the Epic Universe, and the weather may play a role in the day. For better or worse, if there's long lines, it would actually be beneficial to have the cloud cover because it wouldn't feel as hot. So we'll top out around 90, but the cost part of this is that we will have a chance for rain in the afternoon, about a 30% shot from 4 through 6 p.m. of some thunderstorms. Well, I'm going to show you the tropics. Our hurricane season doesn't officially begin until June 1st, but we've got a tropical wave which is traversing the Atlantic Ocean from east, where Africa is, to west, where the Caribbean is, and it's not expected to develop. Typically, this region wouldn't see development until August or September, maybe October, and as far as tropical waves go, only about 1 out of 10 ever develop. So this one's not going to develop, but if it holds together and makes its way into the Caribbean, we may be watching for an enhanced threat of heavy rain across the islands. All right, your 7-day forecast for Orlando, mid-90s today, highs up around 90 for tomorrow thanks to the clouds keeping it cooler. Then back to the mid-90s with clouds departing for Saturday. Now, early next week, it looks like we'll have a rainy season set up for us, and it may be the start of the rainy season. That typically gets going about May 25th, and we've got a true rainy season pattern setting up with heat, humidity, and sea breeze created thunderstorms during the afternoons for Monday, Memorial Day into Tuesday. Now, on the beaches, that rain chance will be a little bit lower for Monday and Tuesday because, as I mentioned, this is a sea breeze-driven rain chance, and so that'll be an area kind of inside of the sea breeze. In other words, not in the collision zone for those storms. So 30% chance tomorrow at the beach. If you're going to the beach, make sure you keep an eye on the horizon. Make sure there's no dark clouds coming your way. But then as far as the overall Memorial Day weekend goes, it looks to be pretty decent with sunshine for Saturday and Sunday and just a chance for a storm on Monday. All right, Garrett, that is the latest. It looks like the heat is, for the most part, here to stay with temperatures consistently running about 5 to 8 degrees warmer than normal.
Heading into that summer pattern, need that summer mentality. But also interesting to hear you say that the start of the rainy season seems like kind of right on cue, right on schedule.
Yeah, it's interesting to track the rainy season every year because it can vary by a couple of weeks on either side, sometimes starting in early May and sometimes effectively starting in mid to late June. But it looks like based on the pattern with the southeast flow coming out of the Bahamas and the Caribbean, enough humidity in place and a lot of heat that we're going to start to get into that time of the year where when the Gulf and the Atlantic sea breeze collide over Central Florida, storms erupt just about every afternoon.
All right, Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you joining us.
Okay. My pleasure as always. Thanks, Garrett.
And here's a live look at Epic Universe, hoping the weather cooperates with everything for tomorrow. You can see the Stardust Racers, the green track on the left, the yellow track on the right there, as they are those cars battling it out on the roller coaster track. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus. We'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Attorney General James Uthmeier was in Gadsden County in Havana earlier today. He was presenting the 2024 Law Enforcement Officer of the Year Award this morning at the Florida Public Safety Institute at the Pat Thomas Law Enforcement Academy. He opened up that event by giving some remarks and talking about honoring law enforcement and showing support for the work they do.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Attorney General James Uthmeier. I'm about 3 months on the job, and I will tell you that the most exciting aspect of being Florida's Attorney General is working with law enforcement every single day to protect the citizens of our state. I want to thank all of our law enforcement officers for being here this morning, and especially our honorees. Today, we are here to honor the extraordinary actions of people who have worn the badge with courage. People who have not just shown up, but who have run towards danger, who have put themselves in harm's way, who have been selfless to serve others. This ceremony is one of the most meaningful events the AG's office participates in each year. Because we can work hard in Tallahassee and advance good policy, good law, good legislation to change lives over time. But your actions, your bravery, your heroism, you save lives in real time. You make life-saving decisions in the heat of the moment. And for many of you, those decisions are not just one-offs anymore. They have become a way of life. Each nominee here this morning reminds us why the badge matters. You will hear the stories in just a few minutes of our many nominees. And these stories are vastly different. Some officers ran towards gunfire. Others pulled victims from dangerous situations. Some even saved the lives of fellow officers. But the theme is the same: bravery, valor, selflessness. They will tell you they were just doing their job. They will tell you their training kicked in. But we know better. Today we're not going to let them get away with it. They do what they do not because they're seeking honor or thanks or praise. They do it because it's the right thing to do. But today, thank you. Thank you. I'm proud to stand with law enforcement every day, and Florida loves law enforcement more than any other state in the country. My mission to make this state the safest state in the country to raise a family is a promise, and it is a promise that we are only able to meet because of you all. You don't just keep Florida safe, you keep it strong, and you keep it free. And you all are a great reminder. The thin blue line, the blue line that separates good from evil. The thin line that protects right from wrong. The thin line between lawlessness and justice. It is made of real people. People who bleed, some who make the ultimate sacrifice, people who put others first. People that keep our state safe, strong, and free. So may God bless all law enforcement. May He bless those being honored today, especially their families. May He look down on our state and protect us.
Live look at the U.S. Capitol right now in Washington, D.C., where we know the big bill, the one big beautiful bill, as Trump has called it and lawmakers have taken up calling it, is still up for debate, up in the air at this point. We will see what ends up happening with it. Now, this morning, Senator Rick Scott was on Good Day Orlando to talk about that bill. There is a budget and a Senate hearing about it if the House GOP passes it. So the senator was asked about that. He also responded to questions over concerns about Medicare and food assistance cuts and a couple of other things as well. I want to get you This was Senator Rick Scott speaking with Fox 35's Ryan Elijah earlier today on Good Day Orlando.
President Trump was on Capitol Hill Tuesday urging Republicans to pass the bill. As you know, there's a lot of moving parts here. Where do you see things right now, and how worried are you about the federal debt side of all this?
Well, first off, I think we've got to work hard to do what the president wants. We've got to make sure we secure the border. We've got to make sure we plus up our military. We've got to make sure we extend and make permanent the Trump tax cuts of 2017. So those are things we need to do. The other side is we've got to get our fiscal house in order. You saw Moody's just downgrade our debt. We now have almost $37 trillion worth of debt. And unfortunately, what's going on in the House right now, it's not bringing the debt down. It's not reducing the debt. It actually, the debt increases. It actually doesn't reduce the debt to GDP, any of these things. So if we don't fix this, then inflation is not coming down. Interest rates are not coming down. So I know they were working at the House. I was just with some of my friends in the House this morning. They're working on trying to make sure we get rid of the Green New Deal, which basically cost an unbelievable amount of money and made our grid unstable. That's one. And number two is we've got to get Medicaid back to taking care of the people we want to take care of. We got to take care of kids. We got to take care of the vulnerable. We got to take care of the disabled. That's what was the original purpose. And we got to get it back to that so those individuals actually get really health care.
Senator, I want to have you respond to this as well. You know, Democrats are not any part of this bill. They think that millions of people could lose health insurance as proposed cuts to Medicaid. So here's Congressman Pete Aguilar, and then I want to hear your response.
House Republicans are working to ram through their agenda to kick millions of Americans off of health insurance and to take food assistance from families.
Your response, I'm guessing that's not how you see this at all.
Well, first off, it's a complete lie. So here's one thing. Do you believe that somebody that doesn't want to work should get everything from the government for free? So one thing we're saying is, come on, go get a job or apply for a job or go do some volunteer work if you want to get Medicaid. That's if you're able-bodied. Look, if you're disabled, if you're a parent with a young child, that makes some sense. But if you just simply don't want to work, all right, that's not right. That's not fair to the rest of us. On top of that, take Florida. Why what the federal government wants to do is pay 90% for able-bodied, but 50% for a child. That doesn't seem right. And so what's happening, state by state, they're spending more money to take care of able-bodied adults than these poor kids that need health care. We've got to allocate the dollars to where we want the care to go. I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to get health care. But if you don't want to work, it's not fair to the rest of us.
Let's touch on this. It was mentioned late in the campaign, the no tax on tips. The president mentioned this. Now it's passed the Senate. So why is that such a big deal?
First off, it passed unanimously in the Senate. So whatever we pass, and I'm optimistic we'll pass something sometime in the next month or so. I think we are going to get rid of tax on cash tips. I think it's the right thing to do. It's going to help some Americans. So it's very positive. But we have got to get our fiscal house in order. Otherwise, inflation is not going to go down, and interest rates are going to continue to trend up. You saw the 30-year was over 5% this week. Mortgage rates are going up. Car loan rates are going up. Credit card rates are going up. It's not good for Americans.
No, as one that follows the markets, the rates have really been an issue lately. Let's finish with this. Is FEMA ready for hurricane season? As you know, having been the governor for all these years, it's a big deal in Florida. FEMA went through a lot of turmoil. Where do we stand on this?
Well, Kristi Noem testified yesterday, and I asked her that question, and she said they're ready. Now, just remember this. FEMA is a response organization to the governor, and primarily what FEMA does is write checks. So they're being ready as if Congress gives them the resources to be able to write the check for the things, whether it's debris pickup or helping our law enforcement or firefighters and things like that.
That was Senator Rick Scott earlier today on Good Day Orlando. A massive alligator is shutting down the Juniper Springs near Ocala. Wildlife officials say it has been going after canoes and kayaks in the water there. And this comes now just weeks after a woman was killed by an alligator while she was out kayaking with her husband. Fox 35's Kelsey Cairns looked into why this alligator might be being so aggressive.
An aggressive gator within Juniper Springs shutting down a waterway within the recreation area. U.S. Forest Service officials closing up a portion of the waterway out of an abundance of caution.
It's pretty rare that a boat ramp is closed because of a gator.
I'm surprised that they would even close it just because there is a gator.
When I lived here back in the 90s and early 2000s, I don't really remember something like that happening.
Officials say the large male gator is between 13 to 14 feet long, which is near record length for the Sunshine State. According to Florida Fish and Wildlife, the state record total length for a gator is 14 feet 3.5 inches, which was recorded back in 2010 in Brevard County.
If I see an alligator while I'm here, I will be running. Me and my mom will be running away.
U.S. Forest Service saying the gator may be acting aggressive, quote, in defense of his mating territory. The agency also reporting over the past few days, he actively made contact with canoes and kayaks.
That makes sense with the whole that it's mating season. It wants people out of the water to do its gatory things, and that's just really smart on our part to stay off the water while they're present.
The combination of gator mating season and hot weather may be to blame, says one expert.
It's the warmest time of the year. These animals are cold-blooded. It's their most active time of the year.
Frank Robb is the CEO of EARS, which stands for Environmental Education, Awareness, Research, Support, and Services. He also explains the gator's aggression may also have to do with human intervention.
When you're dealing with an area that's a high public use area, it's usually people that have caused the problem. So it'll be an animal that's been picking up scraps, picking up things that have been left behind.
While the boat ramp is closed for the time being, the swimming area is still open.
I've never had a thought where I wouldn't want to go swimming because of a gator.
Just be respectful. Like any state, it's got its wildlife that you need to be aware of and you need to be careful of, but definitely enjoy the beauty.
I'm Kelsey Cairns, Fox 35 News.
We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back in to Fox 35 News Plus, another live look inside the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission meeting in Ocala, where a number of folks are discussing, giving their thoughts on the proposed bear hunt, that black bear hunt that the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission is considering for later this year, and could actually become an annual 23-day hunting season each fall and winter. Let's go ahead and continue to listen in as public comment continues.
animals for these populations, letting the species become resilient to stressors such as environmental stressors and diseases. I guess I can't.
Thank you, Rhonda.
All right.
Thank you for being here. Nancy. And if I could ask Val, Carlos, Janice, Ben, Steve, and Moksha to come forward, please, and sit in front row.
Hi.
Hi, Nancy.
My name's Nancy Holshoe, and I'm very much against a bear hunt. I don't understand how this will be any different than the hunt in 2015. It seems like it's going to even be worse because some certain precautions are being taken away, like stations, and I'm also very much against using dogs to tree a bear just to be shot. That, to me, is not hunting. And I'm also against bait stations and feeding areas for the same reason. And the majority of people don't want a hunt. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Val. Good morning, Val. Welcome.
Who said that? Oh,
What?
hey. Okay, science. The American black bear is prolific all over this country, but in Florida, it's a subspecies called the Florida black bear. It's the only place in this country that it exists. If we do what you are proposing this year and next year, we will make extinct this subspecies for which we are known, Florida black bear. How do hunters know that they're shooting a male or a female? I don't get it. You can't tell until they're laying down and you can see the nipples. So how do they know that they're not shooting a mother? Also, you don't have the whole numbers yet. So I'm agreeing with everybody that we need to wait until we know how many there are. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. Next up, Carlos.
Hey, good afternoon, commissioners. 3 points I haven't heard is out of that FWC survey, only 3% of bear-related that people had encountered. The majority of those issues were garbage-related issues. The second point is the current bear population estimates rely heavily on a hair corral method. It's a method that has many well-known flaws, including genetic errors, behavioral biases, sampling issues, and statistical limitations. If we're truly interested in responsible management, we should be investing in better science, not more bullets. And my last point is we're going to be charging $100 for each bear tag at a time when Americans, especially here in Florida, are demanding more accountability and smarter spending. This proposal raises red flags. Even President Trump has spoken often about rooting out wasteful government spending. A multi-week bear hunt that places strain on FWC resources creates enforcement challenges and brings in minimal revenue to our state, exactly the kind.
Thank you, Carlos. Next up, Janice. Good morning, Janice.
Good morning. Hi, I'm opposed to the hunt, and very, very vehemently. I'm just disgusted hearing about dogs chasing bears. I mean, it's really blowing my mind, and hearing about all the cruelty and the bow hunting and piercing the lungs. I just can't believe it. And bear cubs killed. I mean, how would any of you like to be shot with an arrow into your lungs and then suffocate to death? Think about it, you know. What I'm trying to say is also there is a petition online that has 36,000 signers. And there's 85% of the people do not want this hunt. And it's just, I mean, I'm really sitting through this. I can't believe that conservation and hunting is used in the same sentence. There's got to be other ways. I mean, let's be humane. That's all I have to say, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Janice. Next up, Ben.
Morning for a few more minutes.
Yes, good morning.
We see two types of black bears on our ranch. The first are healthy native bears. We don't have any tripods. They aren't aggressive. They have room to expand. The other type we see are nuisance tagged bears, and they don't know what they're doing in the deep woods. We see them on camera walking up and down our dirt roads. Last year we had one double nuisance tagged. We watched him on camera for about a week walking up and down the roads. A neighbor found him starved on his property. I think the southern region could be limited a bit. I certainly have no interest in hunting bears on my property. I understand the purpose of the hunt, but we need to focus it closer to population centers, because for the bears that are a nuisance, when they're tagged and released, they don't know what they're doing in the wild. It's seemingly more humane to have a hunt for them. I would hate to see the deep woods hunted while more nuisance tag bears get moved out to replace them. So if we focus the region in the south a little bit more towards where people are seemingly having issues, I think that would go a long way to helping out the bears. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, barely. My name is Steve Wonderly. I'm from Daytona Beach, and I represent the Sierra Club for Volusia and Flagler counties and are over 1,100 members there. Sierra Club is not opposed to hunting in general, and I agree with those who say we should follow the science, but good science relies on good data. To take a step as large as the one being contemplated today to impose a bear hunt, we need better data, for example, in the form of another bear census. We believe that a bear hunt this year could threaten the viability of the species. Who's right? Let's follow the science, but with the best data possible. So please don't risk making a big mistake today. Please don't authorize a bear hunt without better data. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching Fox 35 News Plus. Public comment continuing in Ocala at this Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission meeting about the proposed bear hunt. We're going to continue to listen in and take this while it continues. Thanks for watching.
This hunt. This is a trophy hunt. This is not what we want. The focus needs to be on education, oversight, and enforcement on hunters and poachers, installing bear-resistant containers in all cities, towns, rural areas of Florida, and non-lethal solutions. One gentleman, Patrick, said we didn't speak of solutions. We've been sharing with you solutions. 81% of all Floridians are opposed to this. This trophy hunt will go against the constituents. There is a massive public outcry, and we need you to listen. We implore the FWC to work with environmental educators, environmental organizations, to implore citizens to coexist peacefully. We can do so with bear-resistant containers. We can also create no dog and no human areas in wildlife habitat, create more wildlife corridors, and implore no more development in wildlife habitat. Killing is not conservation. I am also...
Thank you. Next up, Mark. Mark, good morning and welcome. Nope. Good afternoon and welcome.
Mark Clutho, Largo. Like she said, killing is not conservation. It's not sport. You have high-powered rifles against the bears. It's not like soccer, football, baseball, equal teams against each other. Not even close. Yeah, trophies. Think back to that last bear hunt with lactating mothers dying and then their cubs starving. Most important word is ratio and our bear population and the people population.
Thank you, Mark. Next up, Casey. Casey, welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm Casey Darling-Niffen, Conservation Policy Director with the Florida Wildlife Federation. The Federation respectfully asks you to delay the proposed bear hunt. You ask for these proposals to be science-based, and that requires sufficient time to allow your bear management staff to complete their analyses. The models used to inform these proposals show some risks, especially in the North Unit, where the subpopulation is half of the other 3 BMUs, the other subpopulations. This indicates that even a regulated hunt could lead to long-term population decline. The Federation has submitted extensive written comments as well, and you can find more information about that in those written comments. This decision must be based on sound science, not pressure. Please allow bear management staff to focus their time and resources on answering foundational questions about management changes. And please consider a conservative and precautionary approach before moving forward. Thank you.
Karen, and then if I could ask Kelsey, Brad, James, Lexi, Mark, and Vincent to come to the front, please. Welcome, Karen.
Good morning. I live in rural Seminole County, and I have hunted in the past. But I'm here to strongly oppose the proposed bear hunt in Florida, as it risks doing more harm than good to our Florida black bear population. The FWC's own bear management plan states that a hunt is not biologically necessary at this time. The most recent population estimate has remained stable since about 2019, and updated population data won't be available until 2029. Acting without current data and science undermines responsible wildlife management. Current proposals to allow baiting and hunting with dogs are methods that raise serious ethical and safety concerns. If we're talking about human-bear conflicts, they are rarely the fault of bears. They are overwhelmingly caused by unsecured trash, small pets, and pet food, and expanding development into bear habitats. These issues should be addressed with better education and not bullets. Finally, the public has spoken. They don't support this hunt. Moving forward, despite that input, it risks eroding public trust in the FWC.
Thank you, Karen. Next up, Kelsey. We might need a step stool.
Here, they can't see you, baby. If you could, her speech is timed at a minute, if you guys could let her finish.
Oh, most definitely. So is there a stool or something she can sit on?
Oh, honey, they want you to stand up.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, my name is Kelsey and I'm 9 years old. I'm here today because I love animals, especially Florida's black bears. I think it's really wrong to have a bear hunt in Florida. Bears are not bad, they're just trying to live their lives in the forest like we live in our homes. The first time I spoke to Florida's Fish and Wildlife Commission, I was 7 years old, and since then I also spoke in front of the Agricultural Subcommittee in Tallahassee. Even though I'm a kid, I know protecting Florida's black bears is important, and I know my voice matters. Some people say there are too many bears, but that's only because humans keep building in their space. If someone came into our neighborhood and said there were too many of us, we'd be scared too. Bears are part of nature and they help keep the forest healthy. I believe we can protect people and protect bears. We should be teaching kindness, not hunting for fun. Please help us protect bears. They can't speak for themselves, but I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you for being here. Kelsey.
Come here, hey, Colin. Here. Thank you for coming. Enjoyed your speech.
You gave her one last time, too. She still has it.
Good. All right. Brad.
Good morning. Brad Wyrock for the Florida Airboat Association and Kissimmee River Valley Sportsmen. We keep hearing trophy hunting. There's nothing trophy about this. This is about traditional outdoor recreation and responsible game management. You keep hearing percentages of constituents. It's not really percentages of constituents, it's percentages of respondents. As heard in this room today, there's overwhelming science and public support to facilitate a bear hunt. We hear political comments. The science says a bear hunt is supported. It doesn't take into action who's in office. We also support bait stations as it gives hunters more time to study and evaluate that target animal than just a quick glimpse judgment. So on behalf of the Florida Airboat Association and Kissimmee River Valley Sportsmen, we support the Florida black bear hunt as proposed by this staff. Thank you.
Thank you. James Drusher. Good afternoon, sir.
During the notorious 2015 bear slaughter, I was a monitor in an FWC check station. The biologist and staff told us the number one problem was interaction between people and bears over the storage of garbage. I left that day determined, and using my Air Force jet engine mechanic training, UAW, and construction experience, I started designing systems to retrofit my neighbor's trash cans. This right here is by far the cheapest and easiest way to install and operate. It is a simple buckle and strap system. I pulled my van with one of these straps. And we put 4 of these on each trash can. This can be made for under $10, the whole kit. The Colorado and Tennessee wildlife agencies are using my design, and I send them at cost to other states and to Canada. Go to my YouTube channel, Jim the Kayak Guy, to get.
Thank you, sir. Lexi? Lexi?
Good morning. I would like to speak on behalf of the black bears today, as I'm against the bear hunt. I did not believe that it is ethical to hunt our bears when they have done nothing wrong, and if they have, it is by accident and people not securing their trash cans the way they should, or because they might have had small pets and the bear had gone after the dog. I think that we need to educate people on securing trash cans and protecting and keeping their pets away from these animals instead of going after them and hunting them. And I think that we also should work on preserving their habitats, as we should give them the most room to live and roam, as they are part of our ecosystem. They also scavenge and help disperse seeds and keep small mammal populations under control. So if we hunt their bears, those populations could be affected as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Troy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm here today to oppose the 2025 Florida bear hunt. Florida's last bear hunt in 2015 provided no public safety benefit, and the hunt led to lactating mothers being killed, leaving orphan cubs to die. This proposed hunt is not based on updated science. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission itself has admitted that the bear population has not grown since 2015. Bears reproduce slowly, and vehicle collisions alone already claim hundreds of bear lives every year. On top of that, the hunt methods being proposed, including the use of bows, arrows, dogs, and baiting stations, are inhumane, cruel, and outdated. They cause painful deaths and set bears up in unfair artificial scenarios. Florida should be a leader in wildlife conservation, not a state repeating past mistakes. We should invest in bear-wise programs, public education, trash management, and not revive a policy that was condemned by scientists, community.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you. Wendy. Good afternoon, Wendy.
Good afternoon. I'm on the board of a trash and recycling company that operates in bear country all over Florida and the southeastern states. Unsecured trash attracts bears. Fix the trash problem. All the areas consistently using bear-proof trash cans have no nuisance bears, none. Where I live in Seminole County. I live in a bear management unit directly across from Ocala Springs State Park. You guys call this the central zone with the most bears at 1,200. My neighborhood has bear-proof trash cans, no unsecured trash, no bears. We have one exception bear. It's a cub that appeared 10 years ago, alone and afraid, found refuge in the woods in my neighborhood and has lived there ever since. We barely see him. He's a bear. He's doing good bear stuff. He's staying in the woods. The bears that are in the woods are not the ones that should be hunted. The bears that are out feeding on unsecured trash and eating people's garbage are the ones that should be identified. And hopefully...
Thank you, Wendy. Howie. Where's Howie? No? No Howie? Next. Oh, there you are.
Good afternoon. I haven't heard a clearly stated goal of what amounts to an indisputable trophy hunt. Humans irresponsibly expand onto bear habitat and refuse to take simple common sense measures like securing bear-resistant trash cans. Human-bear interactions increase, so we kill more bears. This is insane. Where is this cycle going to end in the name of management? Let's focus on spreading the Bearwise program, education and outreach to residents, connecting habitats with safe corridors, expanding fertility control, and looking into enforcement of measures that reduce luring bears onto property. Let's come into the 21st century and use our heads. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Next up, Tom. And then if I could ask Cynthia, Rusty, Susan, Chris, Carolyn, and Marcus to come forward, please. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I'm an avid sportsman, an NRA Life member. I hold a Florida lifetime sportsman's license, and I'm a very politically active conservative Republican. I strongly support our right to fish and hunt. However, these rights need limits. I would never be in favor of hunting a bald eagle, a Florida panther, fishing for bottlenose dolphins, or hunting the Florida black bear. I have a small farm that backs up to the black bear wilderness area in Seminole County. So I've had more than my fair share of bear encounters. I have never been afraid. These bears are nothing to fear. And in my experience, they're not overpopulated, and I have not seen the science that says they are. So please, if you want to hunt for a trophy, go to the Everglades and hunt python, but no black bear.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Cynthia, good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm opposed to bear hunting in Florida. I vote for option 3 with a 0 quota. And House Bill 87 is already law regarding problem bears, which we know there are some at times. As Elizabeth mentioned a long time ago, because we've had so many speakers, right? Each of you commissioners, and I see that we don't even have a full plate today, right, of commissioners here, but is an individual, and the public has a right to know your name and how you're voting on this matter. It needs to be clearly told to residents throughout the state of Florida which FWC commissioners, Chairman Barretto, Vice Chair Hudson, Commissioner Rude, Commissioner Maury, Commissioner Ferrier, Commissioner Nicholas, and Commissioner Lester. Which of you is going to be voting to support a bear hunt and which commissioner is not? Every newspaper, news station, and social media should know. So in closing, just want to say that I respectfully ask for no hunting of this intelligent animal. Thank you.
Rusty. Good afternoon, Rusty.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chairman.
If you can lift that mic up, please.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I want to be able to hear you.
Well, I've never done anything in 1 minute. Now, here was a 3-minute list, so I'll just hit the main thing. If you go back to when we had the dog hunts in the 1990s, the last few hunts, last 3 or 4 years of that hunt on the Apalachicola National Forest, the hunters took between 20 and 25 bears all over 200 pounds, and I don't think but one out of those 3 years was a female, and none of them were cubs, and none of them were lactating sow bears. So if staff will work with us, there's not many of us left that are old bear hunters, but we can have a good hunt like that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Rusty. Next up, Susan. Good afternoon, Susan.
I'm Susan Hargreaves, the founder of Be an Animal Hero, and it was one of our checkpoint monitors that took this photo of a mother and her bear cub, which I sent to you, and I'm very willing to show people after. The mother and her bear cub are thrown in the back of a pickup truck. Their arms almost look like they're alive, reaching out to each other. Imagine my shock after rehabilitating wildlife for 16 years when I realized the FWC Commission was actually made up of mainly hunters. And I thought, well, conserve, doesn't that mean protect from harm? You have a responsibility here today to vote against so-called recreational killing for fun and use your conscience. Do what your grandchildren would like you to do. Do what the rest of Florida and the world would like you to do.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for your comments. Chris, you're next up.
My name is Chris Teodorsky. I'm representing Floridians who realize that just because a bad idea shows up in a new suit doesn't make it any less of a dumb idea. I stand here before you not just in opposition to this bear hunt, but in condemnation of it. This isn't conservation, this is state-sanctioned slaughter. It's a blood sport wrapped in public relations, pushed by a commission that seems to answer more to special interests than to the overwhelming majority of people of Florida who, according to your own data, oppose this. Staff included a 10-year-old survey to claim public support for this, a 2016 phone-based poll that oversampled bear complaint areas, oversampled older demographics, and asked wildlife questions to people who couldn't even name the population they were commenting on. That's not science. It's not even junk science. It's theater. In 2015, you ignored the public and opened the floodgates. The state I love was an embarrassment to the whole world. It was a disgrace then, and it'll be a disgrace again. Your own data shows that the hunt didn't work.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Caroline. Welcome, Caroline.
Caroline Germanics, Pinellas County. We have a major issue with the science. How can you say that the science is sound when the FWC study was from 2015? In order to determine if a bear hunt is scientifically necessary, we need updated study. Current science from you says that we have an issue with managing our trash. This display of FWC commissioners pits hunters versus bear advocates for the benefit of development. There is a clear conflict of interest with all of the FWC commissioners who are developers. You are financially benefiting from not having bears in areas that you would like to develop or that you've already developed. I oppose the 2025 bear hunt. I oppose the use of dogs, baits, bows, and feeding stations. I urge for FWC reform because it's not right, and you know it's not right. And I hope to not see a bear hunt in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Marcus, you're up next.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm a member of the Humane Society, and every Florida bear email and text I get from them includes a click to donate button. They may be against hunting, but they're making a mint on this issue. So who do you listen to? Sometimes the most important thing is to make sure the most important thing is still the most important thing. I heard from Commissioner Lester years ago. The most important things here are to protect wildlife and to protect Floridians. Protecting wildlife, shrinking habitats, stress the bears, and enable them to contract and spread species-threatening disease. They need to be culled to survive. Protecting Floridians, the fastest a human has ever run is 27 miles an hour. A Florida black bear can run 35 miles an hour and can run down a man at will. Commissioners, if you don't take every step possible to manage and minimize human interactions with bears, the family of the next bear attack victim will sue FWC and thereby all of us citizens for as much as Morgan & Morgan can get. Director Worthen gave us the science. I'm not a hunter.
Well, thank you, Marcus. Thank you. Maury, All right, Maureen, you're next, and then Laura, Michelle, Dominic, Kimberly, Katrina, if you'd make it to the front, please. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us to be here today, and thank you for your efforts in managing bear hunting. I'm a native Floridian. I'm one of 15,000 dog hunter permit holders in Florida, and I'm representing the Florida Dog Hunters Association today, Florida State Dog Hunters Association. And on behalf of my organization and 900 members, we support the option 2 of the proposal, and specifically the dog hunting portion. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Laura.
Good afternoon. I'm here representing the Swanee St. John Sierra Club group, and we cover 14 counties, and that's about 1,500 members. Listening to everyone today, lots of the points have been made many times over and over. Sierra Club is not anti-hunting, but we do have strong feelings about this bear hunt, and would like for the staff's recommendation to be followed, and that the plan, the original plan that Florida Wildlife has for the bears, to be followed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. Next up, Michelle. Morning. Good afternoon.
Hello. We know that this hunt is not a conservation effort. It's a trophy hunt for the many people who like the excitement of killing and maybe maiming animals. We know this. But with 4,000 bears in Florida, think about 4,000 people. You can put them in a church. That's not that many people. That's not many bears across the entire state of Florida. Comparing it to Connecticut, Connecticut is a much smaller state, right? So let's see. Black bears, the science, black bears control their own populations, right? By food sources availability. The last hunt, we were told that parts of bears were sold on the black market because they're popular and overseas. They were overextended with exceeded the bear limits, as well as what everyone else says. The bears do not officially hibernate here, so how can you judge hibernation with your hunts? So, the reality is that we need more habitat. We need more preservation for our wildlife and for our black.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, Dominic. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Dominic, native Floridian. I'm a gun owner, and I have hunted big game, but I do oppose this hunt. And that's because the truth is this isn't about the right to hunt, or even if it's being done with proper scientific reasoning. This isn't about conservation. This is about money and greed. This all ties into the overdevelopment of land carried out by rich real estate barons that's been happening in our state since the early 2000s. Developers are the ones that want this hunt to happen. This is about big money interests, both domestic and foreign, buying up our valuable land and destroying our state ecosystem. Also, they can develop their McMansion communities that sit at 10% occupancy. Everything ties into our ecosystem, including this bear hunt. And I ask hunters in this room, hunters across Florida, practitioners of a skill that has been a service to humanity for all of time, do not let these developers use your passions against you. Do not be galvanized for this atrocious act.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you for your comments. Please be respectful.
Vice Chair, if I could, just another reminder for the decorum of the room, please. We're almost, you guys are doing a really good job. We're almost there. We're going to one more reminder. Please maintain the decorum.
Yeah. Have him get out.
We respect everybody's respectful opinion, so thank you. Dominic. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Kimberly. That was Dominic. Kimberly.
Just give me a second to collect myself. I'm a little off guard with that.
Would you like somebody else to go ahead of you?
No, I can do it. I just don't start the timer until I'm just speaking. Thank you. Kim Bukite, excuse my pessimism. I think your minds are made up. So give me a minute and prove me wrong. I've been honored to observe dozens of bears in the wild on my rural land in the Central Zone. None were a threat. But let's talk about science. I am, however, overrun with feral pigs, I'm fearful of them, and they're invasive and they're causing a lot of damage. So let's put our heads together and try to kill two birds with one stone. Let's devote as much effort and resources to management of invasive nuisance species. And we can do this at the same time. I've seen that you have broad discretion and aren't afraid to use it. So I have an idea for you. Let's, instead of this random drawing, and God, let's talk turkey. Phew, those 187 permits are to die for, with over 200,000 licensed hunters in Florida. Instead of a random drawing, I suggest that we make the permit the trophy. Let's have people bring in invasives to prove their worth as a hunter to earn these permits if we're going to have a bear hunt.
Kimberly, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Katrina. Good afternoon, Katrina.
Hey, how are y'all doing? The facts: loss of habitat, development, vehicle strikes, and poaching kills more than the FWC's 20% mortality rate annual target. Poaching bears for their body parts to be sold to the Chinese wildlife traffickers threatens the survival of all eight bear species around the world, but especially Florida black bears. Please note in your book, please note my public records request to the FWC asking for investigations, reports, and arrests relating to hunters illegally selling bear body parts to Asian businesses in Florida. It is 109 pages long. We have a problem. If you approve a bear hunt, the FWC will make it easier for hunters and China to push our bears to the brink of extinction, as they have for other bear species already. And last, I want to close with President Trump's quote on the first page. He refers to trophy hunting as a horror show that does not help the conservation of any animal. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. Next up, Linda. And then if I could have Elizabeth, Linda, Lois, Constantino come forward, please. Good afternoon, please.
Hi, I'm Linda James. I'm 30-plus resident of Tallahassee. Thank you for letting me speak. Good science, I totally agree, should draw.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you. Welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning live on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and also on YouTube. But we've got a lot to get to in this hour. We appreciate you joining us. Want to let you know some of what we have coming up later in the show. The Attorney General in Gadsden County earlier today announcing the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year. We'll take you inside that ceremony in just a little bit. Also going on live right now, Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, a meeting in Ocala, and they're talking about this controversial bear hunt and some proposed rules for that. About 170 people signed up for public comment.
Agencies to develop plans for landscape conservation, connectivity with state, local, and regional governments, expanding corridors, and working to provide bear habitats by evaluating areas of potential suitable habitat in each BMU. Determine if fencing and other...
Linda, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Lois. Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for permitting all of us this opportunity. And I would like to take this time to thank the Fish and Wildlife Commission for all its assistance with enforcement and education in my town. And what I'd like to do today is to encourage this commission to continue doing what you've done in the past, which is decisions based upon data, data-driven approach. And we do have information coming to us in 2029 that may be extremely beneficial for our decisions. There are, until 2029, there are still other less invasive means than a bear hunt to address any type of conflicts, including waste management and also additional education for our residents. And according to the polls, which of course don't drive us for everything, is that the bear hunt is really not aligned with the views of the majority of Floridians. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next up, Constantino. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Efforts to bring back black bears back to sustainable numbers, but I must bring to your attention
Let's see, Naomi. And then if I could have Isabel, Stephanie, Lee, Lane, Janice, and Susan come to the front, please. Naomi, you have the floor.
Hello, I'm a former law enforcement officer and special agent with the U.S. Forest Service, 20 years, much of that in the Ocala National Forest. I worked hand in hand with FWC for many years, and I know firsthand that FWC had and has a very strong bias toward hunting. Through the ages, societies have become enlightened and aware and compassionate about animal suffering. Many deeply held, long-standing traditions involving animal abuse are now seen as antiquated and barbaric. There are many examples. The greyhound racing industry has breathed its last breath. The Ringling Circus in Florida of 152 years no longer uses animals because of public outcry. This is all over the world. There has been a cultural shift. Here are the true findings.
Naomi, I'm sorry, out of time. Thank you. Next up, Isabel.
I am strongly opposed to a bear hunt. I also want to say that I am horrified that hounds, baiting, and archery are even being considered. I find all three of these options cruel and shocking. I can only imagine the terror experienced by the animals. Over the years, I've heard several people, whether citizens of this country or visitors from another country, say, "This is the greatest democracy in the world." For this statement to currently be and remain accurate, the wishes of the majority need to be taken into consideration and acted upon by those in positions of power and authority, whether elected or appointed. The vast majority of Floridians, as many as 81% in one recent survey, are opposed to a bear hunt. I am asking you to listen to the majority, not a vocal minority, and vote no on a bear hunt. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. Next up, Stephanie. Stephanie? All right. Lee. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of Commissioner Kelly Martinez Semrad. May I read her entire statement?
That's the commissioner.
Thank you. As an elected official representing the people of Orange County District 5, I'm calling the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission to immediately reject any proposal to authorize the Florida black bear hunt. This hunt is not wildlife management. It is a reckless, politically motivated decision that is cruel and ignores public opinion and decades of conservation progress. The FWC's job is to protect Florida's wildlife, not to pander to a small group of special interests pushing for lethal, outdated practices. Florida black bears have already suffered from habitat fragmentation, vehicle collisions, and decades of human encroachment. To now turn around and sanction a hunt under false pretense of population control is disgusting and indefensible. Study after study shows that hunting does not reduce human-bear conflicts in suburban areas. What does work is responsible waste management, bear-proofing containers, and robust public education. The tools you all already have at your disposal, but have failed to implement consistently statewide. Let me be clear. The people of Florida do not support this. My constituents do not support this. I will not stand silently while our native wildlife is slaughtered under the guise of management. This commission has a choice. Uphold your duty to preserve and protect Florida's wildlife for future generations.
Sorry, we got the message.
The commission has a choice. Uphold your duty to preserve and protect Florida's wildlife for future generations, or betray that duty by allowing special interests to dictate your agenda. I urge you in the strongest possible terms to do the right thing. End any effort to reinstate the Florida black bear hunt and focus your resources on proven, non-lethal conflict prevention strategies. Thank you, Dr. Kelly Martinez Semrad, Commissioner of District 5, Orange County.
Thank you, Lane. Next up, Lane.
Good afternoon. I'm Lane Stevens. I'm a seventh-generation Floridian, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Quincy. I am here to support staff's recommendation, number 2, along with A, B, and C. Finally, I'll just cut it short and say this. I find it simply amazing that the same people who came to Tallahassee to oppose House Bill 87 are now standing up here saying how great it is. Wow. They came around.
Thank you, Wayne. Next up, Janice. And then if I could ask Susan, Patricia, Daniel, Kia, and Stephen to make it to the front, please. All right, Janice, you have the floor.
Thank you. Glad to see so many native Floridians out today. I'm another one. I live in Archer. I'm Janice Shepard. I was raised in a hunting family. I'm not opposed to hunting, but I am opposed to this hunt. My question is, what is the rush? The data is not in. Why are we even discussing this yet? I pray it's not greed. Truly. Please respect the majority of Floridians and their opinions in this matter. And when a hunt is sanctioned, please let's be civilized. It's the 21st century. No baiting, no archery, no dogs. My God.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you. Susan.
Thank you.
Susan? Okay.
survival of the bears. So rather than resorting to killing and cruelty, let's relocate them. When food supply is low, bears migrate, and there are a number of areas they could migrate to, but so far this isn't happening because we don't have an overpopulation of bears. We have a...
Thank you, Patricia. Daniel, good afternoon.
Thank you. And to start off, I'd like to clarify that I'm making these comments on behalf of myself and not my organization. From the point of view of someone who's worked on bear research here in Marion County, my concern with what's been proposed is that we don't have enough data on bear population numbers. Our data is not up to date. We have one of the largest wildlife agencies in the country, and it just seems like we should have more information before going into something like this. I was just in Alaska in some of the past week. They have a much smaller wildlife agency, a lot more bears up there, but they have a pretty good idea of how many bears they have in the state and even in the city limits of Anchorage. So I was shocked to find that. So I would just like to see us have more information before making big decisions like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Kia. Is it Kia? Kaya. Welcome, Kaya.
Good afternoon. My name is Kaya Chalmer, and I'm here to represent the vast majority of young Floridians who don't want to see the Florida black bears hunted in this state. We have a right to view the wildlife in this state. I know many people in this room care so much about passing down traditions such as hunting to your families and future generations. However, at the rate that we're at with destroying our vital ecosystems to build more condos, that future may not exist for my generation. If we want to talk about having an overpopulation problem, we're focusing on the wrong animal here. We are literally destroying precious land to make more room for us. I ask you to vote on option 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Steve Bagansky, and I'm a retired law enforcement officer with Customs and Border Protection. And I drove from Fort Lauderdale for 5.5 hours to oppose the Florida bear hunt proposal. These iconic animals are for all Floridians to enjoy, not just single hunters to take. I want to see live bears in the wild, not as a rug or a trophy on the wall. Following the science has been mentioned a lot here, and the science says this hunt is not needed for conservation. We can have more bears. There are not too many bears. Additionally, of course, we do not have the correct data for 2025. The proposal speaks of fair chase methods. Game feeding stations are not fair. 6 dogs to 1 bear is not fair. Archery is cruel. If the Fish and Wildlife Commission really wants conservation and wildlife protection, then why not recommend to the governor to increase more habitat?
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Christina. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina Larsson, and I'm an avid horse ranch owner here in Ocala, and my accent is Swedish. Anyway, I opposed the bear hunt, and I live in the farmland protection area. I have 5 horses, 10 acres, and I have seen multiple wildlife, bobcats, foxes, you name it. And I keep my dogs away, my pit bulls, and my Great Pyrenees, so they have no access to 2 acres where I call it my little jungle, okay? And I think that the overdevelopment is really the driving cause, where the developers have now sucked in you as hunters, and I'm not against, ethical hunting. So while I realize that the FWC can't control development throughout the state, I do believe that this commission has influence with developers, and I urge you to use that influence. There must be more balance, more guardrails for this unsustainable rate of development, and at the very least, all new developments should be bear-wise from the start.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you. James. And if your name's on the list, then come to the front, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Like most Floridians, I support the right to hunt and fish. But as observed in this morning's prayer, man's dominion over nature comes with great responsibility. Just because we can hunt black bears does not mean that we should. Your own staff and scientists, some of the best in the nation, did not recommend a hunt in their December report because the science and the bear management plan, your policy, does not support this. Let's not pretend this was their idea. It was not. This decision risks undermining the hard-earned public trust your staff has spent years cultivating, and that's not fair. The problem today is urban sprawl and unsecured trash, not overpopulation. The solution today is conserving land and securing food sources, not hunting. A hunt without updated data, population thresholds, or scientific justification puts the agency's credibility at risk. Tabling this item does not preclude action in the future, but it shows the public you take this decision seriously. This proposal is premature. I respectfully urge you to reject the proposed hunt at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Scotty, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's actually Allison Scotty. I live here in Ocala. Thank you for the opportunity. To echo what others have said, urban sprawl appears to be the root of this issue, and I'd really love for this commission to focus on proven solutions like land conservation, bear-wise communities, and wildlife corridors instead of another hunt. Again, thank you so much, and please vote on option 3.
All right, thank you, Allison. Phil, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Captain Phil Walters, GatorGuides.com. Talking about waste, is there any limited controls on roadkill? I mean, talking about a waste, a great animal sitting on the side of the road going to waste. I'd much rather see it be utilized, even if it becomes a trophy, whatever, but utilize it. And does roadkill generate any conservation funds? I mean, it sounds like people are happy with things that are being killed by the roads, and that's because we have a lot of them, they're running around. And keep in mind, generations ago, the natives harvested these things. These animals are top predators. They have no fear of humans, which is not natural. The last hunt wasn't a hunt. It was basically a nuisance control. Your nuisance complaints went down substantially after the hunt. Maybe after sustained hunts, we can have a real hunt. But anyway, I'm all for hunting these things. The success rate, of course it's up there. We got tons of bears. They're all over the place. But anyway, we appreciate it. Please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Next up, Ryan. No Ryan. All right, moving on to Leslie. Good afternoon, Leslie.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking on behalf of many of the people, friends and family that oppose this hunt. I'm from Georgia. If it moved, you shot it, but you ate it. Driving up here from Miami to speak to you today, I used to see orange groves. Now I only see development. So sad. Where are our animals supposed to go? Where's the wildlife supposed to go? It's up to you guys to vote what you know is correct, not what you've been handed to you or people have felt like this is the way we should go. No, you know in your heart the way we should go. This is not the way that you conserve the Florida black bear. So important. And I pray that the commissioners, all of you, some of you are new, Ron Bergeron was against the one in 2015. I pray that you will do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Caitlin. Good afternoon.
All right. Hello. Thank you for having me here today. Based on the example from Marion County, between the increased reports of nuisance bears and the overwhelming development, we have demonstrated the logic at hand for the opposition. As human interference dominates critical remaining wild land with development, bears will further be displaced from their roaming grounds. I can appreciate the intended outcome for preventative healthy population control to protect biodiversity. I can also appreciate the attempt at presenting outdated research as current validity. However, current bear population counts will decrease naturally if we continue to allow large-scale housing operations on remaining habitat. Human population percent change was 8.5 from 2010 to 2020. In 2020, the human population per square mile was 401.4. Since 2019, Florida Census has recorded a spike in human population with an influx of 1,417,030 since in 2023. A single bear requires an average of 60 square miles in roaming territory. Knowing the low reproductive rate of animals high on the trophic scale.
Thank you. Jennifer, we missed an F. Welcome.
Thank you. Greetings, commissioners. When Sheriff Woods started this comment period, I was disappointed that nobody took the opportunity to reaffirm what the agency has often said, that hunting has nothing to do with improving public safety or addressing the causes of human-bear conflict. The 2015 hunt saw widespread baiting on private lands where 78% of bears were killed. Now the FWC is encouraging baiting again and proposing the removal of distance rules for game feeding stations. Regardless of how you spin it, game feeding stations are baiting. Dog hunting has been tied to disturbing bear killing rings in Florida, and allowing for this is regulating cruelty under the guise of conservation. The FWC lacks both a scientific justification and public support to move forward with this hunt. Without either, the proposal has no legitimate foundation. I urge this commission to uphold the public trust and reject the hunt, and I hope you will engage in a robust and thoughtful conversation before moving to a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Jim. Welcome, Jim. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Castleman, formerly United Hunting Coalition, formerly United Hunters of Florida, and formerly DIMTAG group member. I'm here to support staff in their recommendations. The only thing I have a problem with is maybe we need to do a little tweaking on the amount of permits that could be put in for people to draw for this hunt. I've never been a special opportunity hunt fan to begin with because I bought my children a lifetime sportsman's license at 4 years old, and then special opportunity hunts came around. And now they have to spend more money, $5 per permit, but they don't have to pay for the hunt, so therefore they've never gotten drawn. But I'll tell you what, you guys have a staff that, you know, they're the top dogs as far as Florida goes and as far as the nation goes. I think you guys got a staff that's number one, and I say follow their recommendations, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Marie Claire. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Hello, Commissioners. I submitted my comments online already, but felt it really important to say in person that I deeply oppose the proposed bear hunt, as do the much mentioned 81% of informed and science-supporting Floridians. Hunting bears does not make people safer, and the 2015 Florida black bear hunt was highly problematic, and the proposed one would be even worse and a PR disaster for Florida nationally and internationally. Please vote no on the proposed hunt. Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon.
Kill someone else, that's minding their own business. This isn't a threat. There's no reason to be out there. There's no scientific actual justification for any type of decreasing the population of black bears in Florida. I've lived here my entire life. There's never been a reason. It's not going to be a reason tomorrow or the next day. There's just groups of people who are pushing this agenda. They've taken buses out here.
Thank you, Wesley. All right.
My name is Ryan. Thank you. My name is Ryan Worthington. I spend a significant amount of my time hiking the natural areas of Florida around the state. And I've had multiple bear encounters. And I've not been in danger or even got a good look at them because they're very timid, as pretty much we all know. Despite the presentation of a science-based approach that is being used, the population estimates are outdated. There's no indication of what an overpopulation threshold is. And as you probably already know, black bears will not reproduce in sufficient, if sufficient calories or food sources are available. That is why the hunt being considered is based upon poor data in a removal of check stations and the use of self-reporting. I don't think is a good idea. It's not going to be sufficient. So please wait for the data, reconsider, and then make a decision then. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Ryan. And that is our final speaker on this topic, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioners, what's the pleasure of the Commission? Should we do a lunch break? I know I have a bunch of questions for staff based upon the testimony we heard. I would assume others do, but what's the will? You want to break or you want to keep going? Keep going? All right, let's go. We'll keep going. All right, so who wants to start with staff? Because I have like a lot of questions.
Well, Mr. Chairman, in order for the commission to have something specific to discuss, I would like to make the motion that we establish bear hunting with the adoption of Alternative 2, which incorporates all the options provided by staff. I so move.
Okay, you move. Is it second by anybody?
Well, are we not going to, I have questions.
Yeah, but we can do it under discussion. So I'll second it. So for a conversation, it's been moved, it's been second. All those in favor say aye. 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 Okay. So we have questions. Under discussion. It failed. Why is that? I'm sorry. So. Well, under discussion, we want to have it under discussion. Don't we have to have a motion and a second? Then under discussion. Okay. Right? We got it?
So you made a motion, it was seconded. Then you took a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I was getting ahead of myself. What we want to do is we want to discuss it. Okay? So can we correct the...
You'd need to make a motion to withdraw, and then there'd have to be a second and a vote.
Go ahead. Make a motion. It's been moved by Commissioner Lester, second by Mari. It's been, okay, now the motion is to rescind the first motion.
The motion is to withdraw.
Withdraw, okay? Thank you. Okay, that's in order. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, now.
I think the intent was to discuss the
motion.
motion.
Intent was to discuss. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead. Commissioners.
And so now, again, okay, for the record, in order for the commission to have something specific to discuss,
yeah.
I move that we establish bear hunting in Florida with the adoption of Alternative 2, as outlined by our staff, which incorporates all of the options they've provided.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? I'll second it for purposes of discussion. Correct?
Okay.
Now it's under discussion, yes.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. All right, anybody want to start? Or George, I guess I'll start. We heard a lot of testimony from the public about data and science base. That seemed to be a theme that kept coming up, and I think we need to address that. A lot of people indicated that we have old data. Can you explain to us and the public, where's the data? Is it current data that we're basing this decision on. Whoa.
Chairman, as discussed when I gave the presentation, I'm going to help to answer questions, but also moderate with our division directors that are experts here. And so to answer some of the questions we've heard today, there's confusion on our 10-year data sets abundance surveys that are good for that entire 10 years, and then our other methods. And so I'm going to ask FWRI Director Gil McCrae to help answer some of these questions for us and provide some clarity.
Thanks, George. Mr. Chairman, can you hear me? Test?
Yep.
Good?
Yep.
Yeah, so a couple main points, and then I'll go into detail. So clearly, in order to figure out the status of our bear populations, we need, at a minimum, two things: a baseline abundance at a certain point in time, and then information on whether those populations are increasing or decreasing. So the Bear Management Plan calls for the update of the statewide bear population estimate every 10 to 12 years. That is the cycle. So the last statewide estimates were collected in 2014, 2015. So we are in that time frame now where we're updating those estimates for each BMU. We've collected the information for 3 of the 7 BMUs. One will be collecting this summer. That's Apalachicola, East Panhandle. That's a big population. And the 2 remaining ones will be collected over the next 2 years. So because of the schedule, that 10 to 12 year schedule, we are now in that time frame where those BMU abundance estimates are being updated. So that is where we are in the cycle. Now, I will tell you the population modeling work we did that was referenced in the presentation that yielded the population growth rates, that worked off those 2014, 2015 abundance estimates and did simulations that used information that is BMU specific on survival and reproduction of bears in each BMU to project what those populations have done since 2014 and 2015. And that information, that modeling was used to generate the quotas that were presented to you to ensure that those populations remain stable with at least a 0% growth rate.
Okay. All right. I was a little concerned on a couple of several people commented on Mike Orlando in a previous meeting, making a comment of no action needed. Can someone kind of explain that there's belief by the public that he was saying that leave everything alone, there's no action needed, or what can you explain what the comment meant?
Absolutely. Happy to provide clarity, Mr. Chairman. So the staff report in December of 2024 was an update. It is standard in our updates where we're not bringing rule before the commission to use that standard no action requested at this time language. And so that's not a statement that's indicative of the agency's position on hunting used as a management tool. And so what we'll do, we've heard some confusion. I've asked staff to go ahead and publish in our frequently asked questions online a written answer to this so that folks can reference that on our website.
Okay. And can we walk me through the calling the herd? When you say you're going to call the herd and for management purposes, can you walk us through calling the herd?
Yeah, and culling is a term used by speakers today and not in the presentation by staff, but I'm going to ask Melissa with Habitat and Species Conservation to talk about bear hunting as a method for population management.
So in the bear management plan, can you hear me okay?
Not really. I don't think the public can.
So in the bear management plan, we do identify multiple methods of population management. Hunting is one of those methods, as is the use of trapping and removal. The management plan makes it fairly clear that hunting is the option that most states use. The option of culling or having somebody come in like the USDA and remove bears is not typically done in most states because it's not something that's going to be at the population level. It's not going to slow population growth. Hunting is the more accepted method of doing that.
Well, the purpose of culling is to keep the population healthy, correct?
So in some cases, but usually those are with herd animals, and bears are not herd animals.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions?
The bow and arrow, can someone please explain, is it, I mean, I just want to hear the process. Sounds terrible.
So archery is a method of that's used widely across North America for bear hunting. So 96% of jurisdictions, that'd be provinces and territories and states, allow traditional archery, and 89% allow crossbow. So it's an effective, efficient method widely used to harvest bears. In some states, it's the primary method because archery season comes first and more bears are killed by that. You know, we hear from a lot of folks here today that have humane interests that they don't like archery. That's something that we hear frequently. But archery hunting, you know, when a bear is shot with a bow, they die from blood loss, just like a deer does when it's shot with a bow. So folks certainly have a right to their opinion, but it is an effective and efficient method for harvest. Generally, bears are shot with one arrow, go a short distance, and are recovered by the hunter.
So it's not a slow death?
Ma'am?
It's not a slow death?
No, not in my opinion. It's usually not immediate, but you know, I'm sure that there are many people here, and we heard this during public meetings. This is one of the things that people who are opposed to bear hunting are most opposed to is archery hunting. But we have many hunters here in the state that use bows to hunt. In the last bear hunt, the overwhelming majority of bears were taken with modern firearms, and that's what we would expect here. But we do have some hunters that like to hunt with bows.
I have one more.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hunting over a feeder, I am totally against that with deer. Why wouldn't we be against that with bear?
So one reason as staff that we proposed hunting at feeding stations is that when a bear comes to a feeding station, you can judge the size of them. Most females weigh 250 pounds or less. Most are much smaller than that. Most males are larger than that. When they're at the feeder, hunters can see them for an extended period of time and judge their size. And they're less likely to take females, and particularly less likely to take females with cubs because they would see the cubs with her. So it's a more selective method. So in 2015, 78% of the bears were harvested on private land. That's probably largely a result that they're attracted to these private lands because there are feeders there. Current rule is that the bear and the hunter must be 100 yards. The proposal is to allow them at the feeder so that hunters could more selectively harvest male bears.
Okay, Commissioner Root?
Okay, sorry, I have one more. Do we charge if they do something wrong, or they're hunting in the wrong county, or they kill a mother? Is there any kind of penalty?
Commissioner, I'm going to ask the Colonel to answer that question.
Yes, Commissioner. Anything that would be outside of the established regulations within the bear hunt would all be violations. They would typically be level 2 violations, which would be a second-degree misdemeanor.
So, you're done? I just got a couple of, they're not organized, so I apologize. I'm kind of bouncing all over. A lot of people raised the issue about check stations in 2015. I wasn't here in 2015, so what's the issue with check stations and something go wrong? I mean,
So in 2015, we only had to man check stations for 2 days because the season was expected to be no longer than a week, but a short period of time. we're expecting that to be a lot longer period of time. And so it wouldn't be very efficient to have lots of staff all over the BMUs at that. But the real important thing to recognize is in 2015, we didn't have the technology that we have today. We have online reporting that can be done with your smartphone for deer and turkey. It works really well. And as we look at other states, this is the way other states do it. So a hunter harvests a bear, he can quickly and easily report to us. And what we want to know is how many bears are killed. And then I go all the way back. I'm probably one of the few people in the room that actually checked bears in the 80s and 90s. I'm that old and getting a little long in the tooth, I guess. But we went to the hunter to get data. And that's our plan for 2025 is after hunters check their bear that we would send a biologist or a technician out and meet the hunter and get the data that we want. Okay. It would be much more efficient, it would be easier for the hunter, and it would be much easier for the staff.
So walk me through, if I'm out hunting, I shoot a bear, I got my iPhone, I take a picture of the bear, send it to you, what do I do? What's the process?
So you successfully harvest a bear. Before you move the bear, the tag that we've sent you has to be affixed to the bear.
Okay.
If you have a signal on your phone, you could check it right there. Or you could go back and call on a landline or use your computer at home, but within 24 hours, before you process the bear, before you take it to taxidermist or processor, or before you give any parts of it away, you have to report it to us. This works really great with deer, works great with turkey, and it works really well for bear hunting in many states.
Okay. Again, back to the science drives the policy. George, are you convinced that our science and data that you're currently using is what you're making this recommendation on?
That's correct, Chairman. I'll emphasize what Gil talked about before, but I believe that we have some of the best, if not the best, data on black bear in the United States, and I think we get broad support for that statement. We utilize multiple methods of data collection, and we hear quite a bit about the 10-year abundance surveys, and it's very important to focus that that information is collected in that way to be used over that time period, and it's being used correctly. So I'll look to Gil to see if there's any other, but I'm very confident in our scientists and our biologists and our staff and the recommendations they bring to us for quotas in the package we've brought to you. I feel like this is very, very strong data and good science.
So what separates us from, what separates 2015 hunt from 2025 hunt? What separates us? What's so wrong or and what's going so right, or you give it to me?
Yeah, Morgan, I'll let you elaborate. I don't mind answering. In the 2015 hunt, we heard broadly from the public, I'll rewind. The 2015 hunt achieved the management goals set forth in the hunt. We heard broadly from hunters and non-hunters that they would like to see changes in future hunts. And so the main difference in 2015 and what we're bringing you today is changes that reflect what we've heard from the public on if there was another hunt, if you're discussing another hunt, what those changes would be. And so I would frame those as modernizations of a hunt. Some of the core tenets that we propose to you today that change are a very specific number of quota, number of tags. We kind of colloquially will call them a hard tag because that's actually what people can visualize. And so rather than having a hunt that allowed as many hunters as they wanted to participate and then ending when you reach a quota, this would only allow a quota to have the number of hunters that yes, increasing populations or healthy populations of bears are
That's correct.
What we're all
to provide hunting on a sustainable basis. Bears are a game species, is a renewable resource, and there are plenty of bears to where we could harvest a certain number every year and continue to have bears increase.
So Morgan, would you agree that hunting is a biological way of managing growth and therefore having a healthier population of bears?
I'm going to let Melissa answer that question.
Can you re-ask the question?
Just hunting in general is
bears are a game species, is a renewable resource, and there are plenty of bears to where we could harvest a certain number every year and continue to have bears increase.
So Morgan, would you agree that hunting is a biological way of managing growth and therefore having a healthier population of bears?
I'm going to let Melissa answer that question.
Can you re-ask the question?
Just hunting in general is a good way to obviously control the biological growth of the bears, and then resulting, obviously, if you result in a probably more healthier population, correct?
Hunting is a well-established method of managing your populations, and we have many states with far fewer bears than Florida that have successfully managed bears with hunting, and they have healthy populations of bears.
Okay, just because I don't know the answer, I was going to ask, what's the bear population in Georgia, which is our neighbor?
Georgia's population is very similar to ours.
Okay.
I could give you a whole list of states, 7 or more, that have far fewer bears than us that hunt bears every year.
5,100 is the current population estimate for Georgia.
Okay. Those are most of my questions. Anybody else? Mr. Root?
One last comment. Why are we hunting so long if we finished in 2015 in 2 days?
Well, in 2015, the hunt was what we would term a derby. So 3,000 people purchased a permit, and we had a season that would close when we got to a quota. So it closed in 2 days. Hunters were incentivized by that style of hunt to shoot the very first bear they saw because they might not have a chance to harvest the bear. So by issuing hard tags, 187 of them, and having a longer season, it gives hunters an opportunity to be more selective in their harvest. So if they see a smaller bear, which might be a female, they can wait and select a larger bear, which is more likely to be a male. So we set a season date to more selectively harvest. We have provided options for what we believe are more selective harvest methods, and we designed a longer season with hard tags, all of that to be more conservative and to allow for a more selective hunt.
Okay, Commissioner Murray.
Yeah, can you? I have a few questions, if you don't mind. One, how did we come up with a number per area? Because it doesn't seem to, number of permits per area, because mathematically it just doesn't.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, we did population modeling that projected how the bear population in each BMU behave between 2014 and 2015 and today. And that modeling generated a growth rate for that population.
selective harvest of bears. We heard from many people today about that they didn't like seeing lactating bears or seeing cubs harvested. We believe this is one way we would see much less of that. And so that's why we propose both dog hunting and hunting at feeding stations, so that we would have a more selective harvest. These methods are allowed in many states and provinces in the country. Dog hunting is allowed in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee. And so for much of the same reasons, so that they have a selective harvest. Hunters generally place their dogs on a large tract. They go along sandy roads here in Florida, look for a large tract so they know it's a large bear, and then they put the dogs on it. And then when it's treed, they can see if it's a male or a female. And as you know, you heard Rusty McKeithen talk about earlier, in his experiences, and those were mine, hunting, working as a biologist, checking bears on Apalachicola National Forest, being out with a hunting party, they have the ability to be very selective and harvest male bears. And that's what our desire is. Like I think both hunters and non-hunters, is not to see females harvested.
Okay. Commissioner? Mari? No? By the way, it was really nice seeing Diane Eggman here today. She looked great. She gave a good perspective. Commissioner? Good. Lester? He's done.
Let's see here. The private land harvest program. Do we have an idea of how many permits, tags that would take out of the public realm? Does that question make sense? I mean, so you have all these private lands, right?
It does, Commissioner, and so one of the things that we looked at was how many pieces of property are in the private land steer program, and how many of those tracts fall within the different BMUs. So we won't know. That wouldn't be in 2025. It'd be 2026 until we would issue those tags. We don't think it will be that many, and we don't think it'll have a great impact. But one thing to remember is those bears will be those properties, like the private land steer program. You have hunters that are generally leasing those properties and hunting on them. So we believe that a private land bear program will open lands up to hunters that otherwise might not be available to them. And we also see tremendous conservation benefits from our private lands deer program, what it's done for wildlife, and our private lands alligator program. So based on that model, we think there's a conservation lift for the private lands bear program. And we do limit, it doesn't matter if the tract's bigger than 25,000 acres. We've limited it to 3 bear tags at the most.
Okay.
And you would have to have 5,000 acres at a minimum. And we feel this to be very sustainable and a conservation lift.
Okay.
I guess, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, well,
one of the things that kept hearing from the public was it was the slaughter. This was trophy hunting at its its best or whatever. How are we going to reassure the public that if we were to go with a proposed amount, and potentially the proposed amount is what? How many bears would it be?
I did the math. So
187?
It's 187 out of 3798 for those 3,798 that is the population, and then that's 4.9%.
So it's very conservative harvest that we're looking at. We're assuming 100% hunter success rate and 100% harvest of females, and we still would not have a decrease. So it's very conservative.
Okay, go ahead, George.
Chairman, I also wanted to expand on that. Much like the public asked us, many people asked us to look to other programs like the alligator program.
Sure.
It's not a perfect analog, but when we talk about reporting, just like these other programs, deer and turkey included, publishing of annual data is very important to us, and showing how that reflects future management decisions. And so we make those available on our website for all species, and bear would be included in that.
Okay. Sure.
These are some general comments. You know, as this is sitting as a proposed rule, I'll give you some of my comments. I do believe that this should be capped to one application per applicant, and so that, you know, you don't have one person that's got a lot of money that can put in at $5 a piece and can buy 2,000. I don't think that's fair. I also don't believe that we should open this to out of state if we go forward. This is a Florida resource that I believe should be for Floridians. Again, my thoughts as we go through here. And you know, like Commissioner Mara here, I'm a little tossed up on the baiting. I do believe that, or I'd like to believe that the hunters that are going to be given these tags are responsible hunters, and that's, you know, their task. I do believe that the baiting would help to identify the species, and we wouldn't have the issues that we had with the females and that. So, you know, I still want to think about that for a little bit. Anyway, I think Mr. Lester, go ahead.
No, he's done.
That's my comments. Thanks.
I just want to give kudos to staff, Morgan and the team. You've really worked hard on this. I think you've come up with you've done a very thorough job. You've come up with a very prudent, measured approach to this. I call the question.
Okay. Question is being called, but before I call the question, we want to make sure everybody knows what we're voting on. So we're voting on number 2. George?
Yeah. So the proposal was from Commissioner Lester for alternative 2 with options A, B, and C as recommended.
Correct.
Right. Go ahead. Commissioner.
I'd like to just make a comment on that. As this is a proposed...
Question's been called. Question's been called.
Yep.
Doesn't that end discussion?
Well, let's let him, please. Go ahead, okay. Vice Chair.
It's more of a...
Yeah. Go ahead.
So as this is a proposed, well, I guess this is more for legal. As this is a proposed rule, even though, or as we take alternative 2 that has option A, B, and C, this, if it is approved here now, this is going to come back, right, for a final rule, and there are going to be tweaks and adjustments to that before we see it again. And at that time, if we don't like option A, B, or C, we can say no to one of those. Is that correct?
This will come back to you. It'll be advertised. This will come back to you for a final vote. And ostensibly, yes, you could change the rule at that time and you take new votes.
So,
but it would then be re-advertised with the changes. And we have to do notice of change and re-advertise the changes to the public at that time, if changes are made at that time.
Well, hold on. So let's give a hypothetical. And since they asked a question, several of us asked a question about taking a bear over a feed station. When we come back to vote on this in a couple months, in August, if a commissioner says, you know, I thought about it for the last 2 months, and, you know, I don't like this whole notion of shooting a bear over a feed. I want to take that out of the next vote. At that meeting, not this meeting, at the next meeting. Can they do it?
By vote.
By vote?
By majority vote, yes, they could, and then, but it would have to be re-advertised. on
Well,
the Florida Administrative Register.
You would have to, okay.
Yes, and then that time would have to lapse for,
Got it.
Would it come for a vote again, though, or no?
It would have to come for another vote,
Yeah, start all
yeah.
over. Start all over.
So,
No. So I don't agree
are
with
you sure about
I
that?
don't agree with it. I don't agree. I don't agree with it.
it could go for, we wouldn't
Hold
need a
on.
third vote. It could go forward at that point with the notice of change.
Okay,
But you could, you could at this point make a motion to amend the motion if that's what was anticipated.
Let me see if I can clarify, Chairman.
yep,
If there are items that that commissioners would like to clarify today with an amendment, that is an option as well. Whatever is passed today will be brought back in August at final rule. Staff would not be working on any changes unless directed to by the commission. What we bring back in August would be voted on for final rule. At that time, through vote, commissioners could make amendments to that rule at that time. Does that make
But then it would have to still
sense?
go back out to a vote.
We would have,
Or have to go out and be
Re-advertised.
publicized.
that's correct, we would re-advertise.
So why the option?
okay, so,
I've called the question.
okay, the question's been called, okay. So we're going to be voting on alternative 2. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye?
Opposed.
Okay. So it's 4-1. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a lunch break. We'll be back in 1 hour. 1 hour good enough? All right.
Perfect, thank you.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you. Welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning live on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and also on YouTube. But we've got a lot to get to in this hour. We appreciate you joining us. Want to let you know some of what we have coming up later in the show. The Attorney General in Gadsden County earlier today announcing the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year. We'll take you inside that ceremony in just a little bit. Also going on live right now, Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, a meeting in Ocala, and they're talking about this controversial bear hunt and some proposed rules for that. About 170 people signed up for public comment during this meeting, so that is going on right now. We'll get you inside that meeting coming up in just a little bit. But the countdown is on to Epic Universe grand opening, less than 24 hours away from now. All years have been leading up to this, and the moment is just about here. And joining us live now from inside Epic Universe is Fox 35's David Martin, who is also joined by a special guest. Hey, David.
It's always my honor and pleasure, Garrett, when we get to talk to the brilliant minds behind Epic Universe, the people who've been talking about this project from its inception in, I guess, 2017, maybe earlier. Say hello to Gabby Lander. Gabby, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Gabby, give us your official title here, because you say it so nicely and I don't.
I'm the Director of Architecture and Engineering Design.
Okay, so architectural engineering and design. So I'm guessing you had your fingerprints on a lot of the beautiful domes and the buildings we see here, right?
Yes, I've been fortunate to be involved in everything here.
So when would that have started for you? When did you get involved in the project?
Well, I had my first meeting for this project maybe 2016.
Okay. So the countdown is on. We're now officially 21 hours away from opening. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready. I'm so happy. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I bet. So you've had 5 worlds to work on. The Celestial Park, which is where we're standing in right now, which is the hub, right? And then the 4 separate worlds that are attached to it. Super Nintendo, you got the Harry Potter, you have the Dragons, and then, of course, Dark Universe. Do you have a favorite, Gabby?
Well, depending on the day, let's put it that way.
Deal.
It's depending on what I feel like. If I feel like going into immersion and playing, I will go to Super Nintendo World. If I want to have a relaxed time and natural time in a park, I will stay in Celestial Park. If I want to experience the movie that I want to fly, I will go to How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. If I feel like dark, I will go to Dark Universe. And if I feel like having some magic moment, I will go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic.
So all of them have so many unique things and details to hang out. You can spend an entire day in each world and never see anything. So give me something that you can share. There's a secret perhaps in each world that you had your hand on, that you helped develop, that we could appreciate today.
Well, I will follow the footprints in Dark Universe.
On the ground.
On the ground.
Nice. And can you tell us what the footprints are? Is that giving away too much?
too much.
Yeah. let
People
the-
need to experience
exactly.
it.
Is it even, it could be a monster is what you're saying.
Maybe.
Okay, I like that. How about something in the Harry Potter world that we should keep our eye on?